Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lilu Nishmas Imi Merosi Rosos Mordechai. Wow, what a crowd. Unbelievable. We have literally like 20 new people today. Unbelievable. Shalom Aleichem. Oh, no. This is, do you see the blue thing? Shalom Aleichem.
We're going to put yellow tape in front of the blue thing.
What a schos, a big schos. He came just in time, Tzaddik. What we're going to do is the covered man. We've never done this before. We're going to read the sponsors before the emails. It's going to confuse everybody. That's going to force other people to listen to the emails. The koilel is sponsored by Shlomo Rubenstein in honor of Shmuel Pesach Rubenstein becoming a bar mitzvah, the koilel of the week. Siyadta is sponsored for the unity, achdus of Am Yisrael. Shprintzy and Avrumie Gross, the yahrzeits of our fathers, Zlman ben Yצחק, Aייzik, Zechut, and Benimin, Aייzik ben Hiyrsh, הכהן, Zechut, berocho. Zechariah ben Moshe, Zechrya bas Yosef. Ahron Fraiman should be Zechus to rebel, for continuing dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Amen. For berocho and hatzlocho for all of Klal Yisroel. By anonymous. The Zechus for Blima Hendel bas Tzirel Chana to have a quick, easy, healthy labor. And the art of the month is sponsored anonymous for Zechus, for an easy childbirth, for his daughter, and a healthy baby. Rabbi Sai, picture time. This Yosef Tauber says, Kvod Rav. As you can see in the photo attached, Heichal Torah. Where's that? Hollywood. Is all, yeah? You know this guy?
Yeah.
It's all about Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. He's holding on to a walkie-talkie, a tzala walkie-talkie. You can't see him. Oh, yeah, but you can see from his hair. Here you see our own Joe Takatsky. Yeah? A.K.A. HSF 42. Hollywood, South Florida, 42. Entrenched in the fundamental of Yiddishkeit. P.S. Heichal, as we know, is the heart of Torah and MDY in Florida. See, just telling you, it's machlokes. We have Rabbi Chaim Hirsch, David Nadowitz, Josh Whistler, Avi Stern, Joe, and what's your name? Ari Bernstein. You're not in this list over here.
With me at H.
Oh, an H. Just name a few. And me, your Talmud since Chagiga, Yud Gimel, Yossi Tauber, Chused in Hollywood, Florida. I'm looking forward to come to live share in the coming days. Mir Hashem. She says, come. What's the problem? So we have some problems. Here's somebody says there's a problem here. Mazel tov, mazel tov. What a great reason to have to travel back to MDY's favorite city. There's a chabura of us up in North Miami Beach that want to attend Yeshurim while you're here, but based on what you've taught us back in the Sukkah, we're making sure not to attend. You see, in addition to the daf, we attend Rabbi Shapiro's nightly Gemara shir. Also given at 9 o'clock. You hear? Michael, 9 o'clock is...
I know these guys.
Perry is huge. And as we learned, Tadir, he's using all this lumdish against us. So while it doesn't look like we'll be able to attend the live shiurim, we're still with you and celebrating the joyous occasion, Perry. So I say like this, Rabbi said, what do you say? If Perry shows up here on Friday, because Rabbi Shapiro is not giving a shiurim until 2 o'clock, and Motzei Shabbos is no shiurim, Motzei Shabbos, then we'll know that he's legit. Otherwise, this is a scam.
You get schar for the whole week.
Yeah, then exactly. If it comes then, retroactive will give him schar for the whole thing. Mazel tov to Rebelli, your wife and the whole family and the birth and granddaughter. It was nice to see you. Oh, you guys don't have to read it with me. You guys are checking out my stuff. It was nice to see that your son and daughter-in-law named the baby after your mother, Allah Shalom. That is very special. She should grow up to Mir Hashem, be a source of nachas to the whole family. Admei ve'esrim. Sincerely, Town since Ksubas, and have not missed a day yet since Ksubas. That's huge. Your shiurim are easy to learn, especially with all the help of Yoshi's pictures and drawings, and also, of course, these stories and jokes. Continue to give your shiurim for many years to come and make many shiurim as Hashem. Amen. Hopefully, one day I'll have the zechus to meet you when you come to Baltimore. Sincerely, Yisrael Shapiro. Rabbi Sai, I just got this text earlier. My father, Rebbe Alter, was nifta the Shabbos. I'm sure you heard of him. He's the one that composed. He's known for a lot of things. He composed Pyro and Pajamas. Yeah?
He just came from the Shiva to here.
Who?
His brother. Rabbi Alter's brother. He was in North Miami Beach.
He came from?
He was at the Shiva house.
Oh, you.
His brother.
Ah. Rabbi Alter's brother. He never missed a Rav Shir, says his son. Even during the months he was hospitalized. He really, really enjoyed it, and it gave him a lot of chizuk. Here he is, doing the shir. The Shoma should have an aliyah.
Man.
I had no idea. I was happy that his son told me that. Like, sometimes you don't know about these things. It's good to know. So Rabbi Isai, we're on Daf Tzadik Zayin, Amud Aleph, all the way on the top, the first words. And here's a very interesting question that pertains to us. If, let's say, you lend somebody money, you lend your friend money, can you borrow that friend's car? You lent him money, gave him $1,000 loan, and he still owes you the money, and now you want to borrow his car. Is that ribbis? Let's say you say yes. No. He says no. Maybe it depends. Yes and no, and somehow. What about could I borrow a cup of milk from him? You know, in Israel, they knock on the door all the time. You have oil, you have milk, sugar, you know, the usuals. The best is when they return like a different brand. You give them like a nice American expensive thing, and then they give you back this cheap Israeli, I don't know what. I don't want to be. Give me the good. No, can't. Chas Shalom, it might be even ribbis. So therefore, I decided to get you the off brand. Okay, fine. So we're gonna see. It actually makes a difference what it is, and it's a child. Here's another question that also is very relative to us. Let's say you steal your friend's slave. How much do you have to pay him for the work the slave does? His Hashem will be relevant soon, because when Mashiach comes, we're all gonna have 2,800. What I forgot the exact number. The amount of tzitzis they're gonna grab on. So you steal somebody's slave, you use him to build a sukkah, he builds your house. How much do you owe him? You give him back. Now what? Is there a certain amount? Not. And that's what we're going to be discussing now. Daf Tzadik Zayin Amud Aleph on top. Umiomar Rav Avdekim Karkidami. So yesterday we learned that Rav holds that a slave is like real estate. And just like real estate you can't steal, so too you can't steal a slave. And it makes differences when it comes to stealing. Do you say, here, just take it back as is. He's 95 years old. He's worthless, but I never stole it. Is it true that Rav actually said that? Somebody attacks his friend's slave. In other words, he kidnaps him, and he works him, potter. It's potter. This reminds me of the story, famous Maisa. A poor person heard that there's a place they give out free food. So he goes to the place and knocks on the door. He says, I heard there's free food. He says, yeah, of course. Come on in. But we have a policy here. You have to earn it. You have to work a little bit. So go out to the backyard, chop down some trees, cut up some wood, make a fire, then we'll talk. So, okay, the guy's starving. He has no choice. He goes, chops all the wood. He comes in. He works for an hour and a half. He comes back. He says, okay, where's the free meal? He says, oh, the free meal? All you need to do is go across the street right over there, and they'll give you the free meal. So he knocks on the door. Shalom Aleichem, come on in, sit down here. They give him the food. So as he's eating, he turns to the guy next to him and says, so what did the guy make you do? He says, what guy? What are you talking about? He says, no, the guy over there that made me work. He says, nobody. I knocked on the door, came and they gave me a free meal. He realized that he knocked on the wrong door. The neighbor took advantage of him. This mice right over there. Made him work for nothing. So the nimshal is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us free food. It's free. He feeds animals. He feeds the behemoths, the lions. Everybody gets free food. The reason why human beings work is we have to make a shtadlus. We have to make some sort of effort. But those of us who work extra hours and work overtime, we're actually working for the neighbor across the street. We're working for no reason. We're chopping wood because you're going to get that parnasa. You just have to make your shtadlus. So the Gemara says, and if you're right, that a slave is like real estate, amai potter, why should this guy that stole the slave, why should he be potter? The slave was always in the possession of the owner, and you stole a slave, pay for whatever work you used. Says Gemara, you're right. Right? We said if you steal, let's say, an ox, so you pay as the time of the when you stole it, and the rest, it became yours. You made it worse. You ruined it. Whatever you did, you weakened it. That was a good word that the Vagal sent me. You weakened it in the Steinsalz. What do we say? Leaned. In the argument, leaned. Weakened is a much better word for me. He weakened it. If somebody would have said that yesterday, it would have been great. Amai Potter, Bershus the Maraka. Says the guy had nothing to do with the slave. He didn't have work to, not nothing to do. That's not a good lashon. He had nothing to offer the slave to work for. In other words, it was after hours. He was done with him. And we have a concept in Shas. Zenehena. Broken. Oh, here we go. This part. Zenehena is other chaser. I don't have to use a slave. I have nothing to do with him. He's already done with his work for today. I can't figure out anything for him to do. You came along and you used him. Okay. So enjoy. What is that similar to? The Gemara thought. It's similar to if somebody sneaks into your house and takes a nap. Your house wasn't for rent. You didn't know about it. You didn't lose anything. So he doesn't owe you money. Says the Gemara, so Rabbi, so what's the difference between real estate and this? Oh, very good. Well, it's like borrowing somebody's car without permission. Every mile you drive, it goes down in value.
Wear and tear.
The wear and tear.
Also, having a car under your house has value. You could drive when if you need. The deal's going to come up.
Okay, but we're talking about, the Gemara says, Shaloi b'shas malacha. You didn't need him. You didn't need the slave now. You're done. You're done for the day. He works in a factory from 9 to 5. He took him at 5:30. You move into your friend's house without, like, literally, people said they wanted to do it. They wanted to play shtick when we learned the sugya. Hey, you're in Chutz La'aretz, you're in America. This guy's from the south. I need a place to live. We'll just move them into your house. We'll send you pictures and see how you react. Your house is not for sale, Eli. It's not for rent. So what do you care if somebody sleeps there? But it's not a good idea. Don't try it. We had a question, and we had it in this Masechta. He's not mechuyev to pay for it. Why? So too, by the slave, what do you care if the guy uses your slave? So the Gemara asks, what's the connection? We had two svaras. If you remember in this Masechta, sometimes a person wants somebody to be in his house. Why? We had even, I remember, I said the shir over here. Now I'm remembering. I was saying the shir over here in this room, in this Masechta, so it must have been like a month and a half ago. And there was a guy that drove in from Boca, a young guy. He told me that's what he does for a living. He goes, he checks out all these houses in Miami Beach, the vacation homes, and he makes sure there's no leaks, flush the toilet, make sure there's no, whatever it is. Like Avrami Cohen, the guy that got up 4 in the morning, 2 nights ago, what is it? The guy that does our tech in Eretz Yisrael. Woke him up 4 in the morning because Mark was on a plane. I have to thank Mark who does this. This is the second share today that he's doing. So 2 hours straight, he's with us. So he got up at 4 in the morning, but he told me that he has this like rental unit, a small unit. You know, people in Eretz Yisrael, they take a parking spot or whatever it is, a garage, they make it into a unit and they make a little parnasa. So he had a guy coming in, and a friend asked him if he could use it for one night before that guy comes in. He said, sure. So the friend comes running back and says, he sent me in there, but the guy's already there. He's taking a shower. He says, no, don't worry. They go in there. Turns out that the shower head, whatever, exploded, and it was gushing water into his unit. It would have caused a lot of damage. So the fact that somebody was there saved him a tremendous headache. Sometimes it's good to have somebody in there. They take care of the small issues, and they don't become larger issues. So according to that, Mandomar, great. That would be this one right over here. Ushia Yukashar. This, the green demon over here, that's Shia. And he likes to come into these houses that are uninhabited. And he comes in there and he wrecks the house. So you want to have people around in your house. Nichale, then the guy is happy that you use his house. That's great. Who wants somebody to use a slave? Wear and tear on the slave. I don't want you to use my slave. It's like a car. No, even in this case, this guy's happy with it, and that's why you can't charge him. Why? You don't want your slave to be lazy. You just don't have work for him, so good. But if somebody works him, it's actually good for your slave. Teaches him not to be lazy, not to play with the video games, to keep on going, be active. Says the Gemara. I have a mice over here. Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Rav Yosef Bar Chama, the Gemara is going to tell us, is the father of the famous Rava in all of Shas. Rava. Have a tokiv avdei de inche. He used to grab and kidnap slaves. The masik b'zuzei v'avdei b'melacha. People, a loiva owed money, wouldn't pay, so he'd grab a slave and work the slave. Omarle, and the goyers say Rava because this is beret. Omarle Rava beret. My time ovid marachi. Tata, I need to understand, what are you doing? Like, explain to me why do you do this? Said it in a nice way. Cover the away for kibbutz avei. So he throws out a statement. The Gemara is going to say it's not always like that. He says, listen, Rav Nachman said that a slave is not even worth the bread that he eats. He barely brings any money in. There's no... So you took the slave. Big deal. So now that you saved the guy, a meal, he doesn't have to feed a slave. How much could he already produce the slave? Omar Le says Rav to his father, when the Rav Nachman say this, that's good for this slave right over here. Daru is a clown. He's not worth a thing. He can't produce. He doesn't have any strength. All he does is he dances in front of people's stores. That's it. So he barely makes his bread. So he's talking about that case. He's talking about his own slave, Rav Nachman. He wasn't talking about all the slaves in the world. The fact is, look, people buy slaves for a lot of money. Why? Because they produce. So why in the world, Daddy, are you taking people's slaves and working them when they owe money? I hold like we just learned. He said in the name of Rav, if you grab your friend's slave and you work him, Potter. Why? Because you don't want your slave to be lazy. And when somebody off the street grabs your slave, it's very interesting. He chops your slave without any permission, works him, you're happy. He learns not to be lazy. It's good values. Learns the values. So Rava is persistent here. Wait a minute. This is something that we didn't think about. There's another problem. We're thinking in terms of the slave. Can I use the slave? I can't use the slave. How much do I owe the owner? Wait a minute. You, my father, my dear father, why do you do this? You do this because the loiv is not paying. So we have another problem called ribis. You're working the loiva's slave, the borrower's slave. You're making him produce in addition to the loan that he owes. So he borrowed $1,000. He's going to pay $1,000. Plus he used his slave for 6 days. That's ribis. So it's not ribis. Why? Because the guy is not losing anything. Anyway, he's not working for him. We said it's shalei b'shas malacha. He's done. It's already after 5 o'clock at night. He's not gonna. The guy's going back to his room. He's just gonna hang out there. So I took him. So it looks like ribis. The Omar Rav Yosef Amar Yumi Omar Rav Nachman. Again, the name of Rav Nachman. This is Rava quoting his Rebbe Rav Nachman. Even though we said that you're allowed to sneak in, you're allowed to squat in somebody's house if it's not for rent. Listen, I didn't say, I misspoke. You're not allowed to. But if you do, you don't have to pay for it. If you lent money to someone and then you need a place to sleep, you cannot sleep in his house without paying for it. So we have a problem here. How could you use the borrower's slave, where it looks like you're taking ribas from him? Omerle Hadribi. So he tells his son, Rava, you're right. You got me. I'm not going to do this again. It's a problem of ribis. So now let's go back to the question. You lend someone money, and then you want to take some milk from him. You want to borrow his car. You want to use his house for Shabbos. You heard he's going out of town. You're making a simcha. You want to use his house. But you lent him money. It's things that happen. We lend people money, and then we need a favor from them. What's the halacha? So Tosfos talks about it, and Tosfos says that if it's something that's befarhesia, then it's asur. So you, over there, who said that you cannot use the person's car, it's ribis. It's not really ribis. You lend cars, okay, and it's not for the loan. But if people see it, it looks like ribis. You got to stay away from that. Milk, you probably could do. Then Tosfos goes along and says, well, there's a difference between something that you're used to. You constantly borrow the guy's car, and then he happened to take a loan from you, so you continue borrowing the guy's car. But if it's something new, because you lent him money, now you feel entitled to borrow a car from him, that you shouldn't do. So the bottom line is there's 4 conditions that we have to remember. First of all, when you repay a loan, you should never take something in addition to the loan. That at the time of the loan being paid, don't say, okay, and I also want your car now. You can't even say thank you when you pay a loan. Like, I don't know if exactly thank you is asur, but like yeshur koyach, a bracha, that sort of thing. There's a ma'aseh with the alder from Slobodka. I think it was him. He lent money to a bacher. And the bacher said, "Oh, thank you." He says, "No, that's ribis. You can't say that." Oh, and then the bacher borrowed money again, and he didn't say anything. So he yelled at him. He says, "But at least you should try to say thank you." Like he was implying that you don't just walk away. You say, "Hey, I want to say." I don't know exactly what he meant over there, but maybe you should koyach not thank you, yes, or like the halacha doesn't allow me to say thank you, or something like that. Okay.
Could you say I appreciate it? Which I don't think I appreciate it.
It could be that's a lashon. It's not a bracha, so it could be that's okay. Ask your local rabbi. So when you borrow something like that, when you want a favor, don't have kavana that it's part of the loan that has anything to do with the loan, because then it's certainly ribis. So again, a car would be a problem because everybody knows that you lent him money and that's the guy's car, so it's like ribis. And definitely don't go into his backyard and you lent money to him, and then you take his bike without permission and drive off with it. That's also a problem. Okay, so there's something to remember, that if there's a loan between the two people, be careful when you borrow and asking for a favor. Says the Gemara, Itmar, Hatoikev sfinosoi shel chaveroi. If he No, I'm just giving you a share. Is it okay if I call you later? You want to shmooze now? Okay. Usually it's my brother. This time it was Noam. Oh, I forgot. There's a whole tzibur that's going to be watching this later. Okay, you got to be serious. Here we go. Here it is. So, guy hijacks his friend's yacht, and he uses it. Now, it happens to be here in Miami. There's a lot of yachts. Some of these yachts, I heard, like some of these rappers are paying like $100,000 a day. You heard about this? No. That's what they cost, some of these things. They're a fortune of money. So the guy steals his friend's yacht. Vasaba melacha. He chartered some parties. I don't know what he did with it. He made some money off it. So how much does he have to pay? Omarav rotza schara noitel, rotza pchasa noitel. Says Rav, the owner has an option. He can go for the larger amount of money, whichever is larger. If he wants to go for the rental, then he can take the rent money. Why? Because then he treats him like a renter. You rented it. A regular renter pays me $100,000 a day. I want $100,000 a day. But what if the guy messed up the guy's engine, the rudder, whatever? Now it's $200,000. So pchasa, if he wants, rotza, pchasa noitel. Now I'm going to treat you like a ganav. You didn't ask me permission. We don't have a rental agreement. You jumped on my yacht and you drove away. Pay me for whatever depreciation you caused to my yacht. So he has the option. Whatever is more, he could take. He could treat him like a ganav. He could treat him like a renter. Depends what he wants.
Could you charge him kefil as a ganav?
No. The kefil, that's a knas, and that he doesn't charge anything. That's a bezdin, and we're going into the basics. So, Ushmuel Amar, Shmuel says no. He is a ganav. Forget the rental. He's not a renter. He only could take the depreciation. So, Rabbi say, if we have a machlokes Rav and Shmuel, who do we pass like?
Depends what kind of case.
Depends what kind of guy. This is didn't mominous. No, so who do we pass like? This is mominous. Shmuel, very good. So we pass like Shmuel. So our Papa says, no, don't worry about it. We don't have a machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. In mominous, we pass like Shmuel. We just had the other day. Omer Rav Papa, like pligi, ha David la'agra, ha David la'agra. If this is a yacht that's for rent, people rent it all the time, then it's like Rav. Then you could choose. You treat him like a renter or treat him like a ganav. Because in a way, not in a way, in more than one way, he is a ganav. He jumped onto the guy's yacht and ran away. He didn't tell him he's renting it. But if you really need to, and it makes more financial sense, so you treat him like a renter and take more rent. But when we say we only treat him like a ganav, because it's not for rent. This yacht is a private yacht. I never intended to rent it out. Bill Gates' yacht. It's not for rent.
It's not for charter.
It's not for charter. Sorry. Not for charter. Thank you. It's not for charter. So you hopped it and drove away. So I'm going to treat it like a ganav. Or you could say no, that it is for charter. But what did the ganav, what was his intent? His intent was that he wants to rent it. So that's why Rav says, let's treat him either like a renter or like a ganav. Because he had in mind to rent it, but he is a ganav. So let's get him for either or. But when the ganav had intent to steal, then we're going to treat him like a ganav. Next, nusugi raboisai gaza mabeav and izdak. So we're talking about in the Mishnah. We had different. Where's this Mishnah? Oh, what should have been over here? No, yeah. So we had different cases in the Mishnah. Case of nezek, of a shinui. We're talking about shinui, right? There's a change in a certain thing. So if it's a change that's visible, you could see that this coin has a what do you call it? Here. A crack down the middle. It's visual. So the Mishnah says, there's a change. You stole it. It was worth $1. Now it's worth nothing. So you have to pay the $1. But if it's not visual, you can't see it. Oh, this we're going to get into in a second. What about this? So the Mishnah says that if it was taken out of currency, it was done. Like the lira in R Yisrael. I don't know if you guys remember. You don't have to be that old. But there was like a lira, then there was a shekel, then there's the new shekel. The government one day decided, no more. Anybody that owns this kind of money, it's worthless. Bring it in quickly because it's garnished. Reminds me, I once read, I don't know if it's true, that in Russia, when the communists came into control, they said, whoever brings in their bills, we will trade it in for coins. And coins are worth much more. So everybody came in, they brought in the coins, and then they said, okay, whoever has coins, better bring it in right now to us. We're taking all coins. And they took pictures of people, all the wealthy people that traded in a lot of bills. They took pictures of them. They knew exactly who took a lot of coins. Because they destroyed people. They took all their money. But at the If you have a coin that has a physical problem with it, then the ganav has to pay for it. So Omar Avuno nizdak mamish. Nifsal. What does nifsal mean? This is nifsal right here. You have a lira, it's perfect. It's in great shape. It's nice and shiny and everything. But guess what? They no longer accept it. Nifsal p'salta malchus. That you say haresh fanecha. It's similar to, let's say, chametz. You steal chametz before Pesach. After Pesach, you give it right back. But we're going to see that it's not so simple. There's actually three categories. There's a category that's visual. There's a category that here you have a crack in the coin. There's a category of an apple that's perfect. It tastes good. It looks good. Just somebody who's tamei touched it and happens to be truma. So now it's worthless. That's something that you cannot see. And then there's a middle category. The middle category is what we're talking about right now. It's money that was taken out of, what's the word? Circulation. Money taken out of circulation. Says the word like this. When the government decides we're not using it anymore, that's like money that has a crack down the middle. I guess we could jump the svara because at the end of the day, people see it right now and they say, hey, that's no good. They see the chesaron in it. It says lira on it. Nobody in the right mind is going to take that in a store. So what does it mean nifsal? Where you could return it. The people in this area don't want to use it. But it's good money somewhere else. In the next city over, it's still good. According to you, that says that, what does nifsal mean? That the kingdom said, let's take this money out of circulation. So in the end of the day, it looks good, but it's worthless. One of the cases in the Mishnah is fruit that rotted or wine that spoiled that you cannot give. That you don't return. He has to give back what he stole. How come this is different? This money is different. By wine, it's completely different. You stole a nice bottle of wine, and now it's spoiled. So you can't give that back. Of course, you're going to have to pay him back the bottle of wine. But over here with money, there's no difference. It looks the same. Okay, so let's go to the opposite case. You say that this money that's out of circulation is considered like money that has a physical blemish on it. It has a crack down the middle. Isn't it similar to fruit that's truma? You gave it to the kahyan and somebody that was tummy or sheretz touched it. It becomes possible. You can't eat it. It's also to eat. How come when it comes to truma? So we're taking it from both sides. When it comes to truma, we say, since it's not visible, take it back. You can't eat it. It's worthless. I don't see it in the fruit. Even if you took a microscope and you looked at the fruit, you're not going to see tuma. Oh. So now finally we get to all the svaras, and now we understand what's going on here. There's two things, says the Gemara. First of all, wine that becomes spoiled has a physical difference. It's different. Now we're going to take it to the other side. Truma has zero physical difference when it becomes tummy. Over here we have a middle case. We have a coin. There's no physical difference, but it's nikar that it's different. That's what's going on. So we have three categories. You hear what's going on here? You have a coin that has a split down the middle that's similar to wine that's spoiled. Everybody knows. Tell a little kid, what is this? I'll tell you it's not wine. It's vinegar. What's this coin that has a crack down the middle? So that's one category. Obviously, you can't return that. You have to pay for the original coin, for the original wine. Then you have on the other side, you have truma that you cannot tell the difference. It looks like a regular fruit. Halachically, you can't eat it. Why? Because the sheretz touched it. And then you have something in the middle called this lira right over here. It's not an apple of truma that you can't see, and it's not a cracked coin. Why? Because physically nothing changed, but everybody knows just by looking at it that it's different. I'll give you an example. Yesterday I asked the question, what is the difference between chametz that was stolen before Pesach, that you're permitted to give it back to the owner after Pesach, versus an esrig that you stole before Sukkot, that you can't really give back to the owner after Sukkot? What's the difference? They're both, this is a pie pizza, and this is a perfect esrig. What's the difference? The answer is, because a pie of pizza that you stole before Pesach and give it back after Pesach, you can't tell the difference. It looks exactly like a pie of pizza that was made after Pesach. Nobody can tell you that this pie of pizza was made before Pesach. But an esrig after Sukkot, everybody looks at it and says, hey, that's an esrig after Sukkot, and it's worthless. There's not a single esrig in the whole world that's worth $100 after Sukkot. So same thing here, even though this lira is in perfect condition, but everybody knows it's worthless. There was a guy who went with all these bills, these lira bills, to the bank, and they were in perfect condition. He had them stacked up. They smelled like, that fresh smell of money. He went to the bank. He gave them all those things. He wanted them to trade it in. So the lady said, absolutely not. So the Chofetz Chaim says, that's a mashal to a guy who davens Kriya Shema after the Zman Kriya Shema, or Shemona Esrei after Zman Tefillah. It's a beautiful tefillah. He said it b'chavana, and he said every word, and he was mechavan to all the stuff. But guess what? It's worthless because it's after the time. So you come with a beautiful bill that's in perfect condition and bring it to the bank, they'll say, sorry, it's worthless. Says the Gemara, Itmar, hamalvis chaver al matbeya, v'nifsul al matbeya. So Rashi explains that we're talking about that he borrowed, let's say, a car. He borrowed a thing, not money. Money doesn't work over here. He borrowed a car, and he said, I'll pay you back 1,000 shekel. And meanwhile, the government said 1,000 shekel is worthless. So what do you do? Rav Omar Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Greg Haber for the success and the safe return of our chayalim and hostages, the zechut for Klal Yisroel. They got rid of the shekel, so give him the new shekel. That's Rav. Ushmul Amar Yachal Loi Lechoitzim B'Meishon. Shmuel says, no, take the old shekel and go to Jordan. Over there, they use the old shekel. Is that fair? So says the Gemara, I'll explain to you what Shmuel meant. The Islay Urcha Lemezal Meishan. He has a ticket to go to Meishan. He was planning on going to Jordan. If you're planning to go anyway, so I could slip you this old money and tell you take it. Ava Leslie Urcha Loi. But if this guy never intended to go to this other country, this other city, you can't force him to take money that's only usable in another place. Is that true? And that's what the Gemara is going to ask a few questions here. Eisvei Rava le Rav Nachman. So once again, you have Rava, the Talmud of Rav Nachman, asking his Rebbe. So in case this is your very first time in the shir, Meiser Sheni. You're all laughing. You know what that is. There are one or two new guys that don't know about this. So it goes like this. When you have produce, you have to give, let's say, 2% to the kahn. That's called truma. And then whatever's left, the 98%, you take 10% of that and you give it to the Levi, Meiser. What happens when the Levi gives some of 10% of what he just received to the kahn? Trumas Meiser. Okay, we're not talking about that. Now, whatever's left, let's call it 90 just to round it off. He, in years 1, 2, 4, 5 of the Shemitah years, he takes 10% and gives it to himself. The problem is he is very wealthy, has a lot of fruit, and it's way too much for him to carry up to Yerushalayim. That 10% he brings and he eats in Yerushalayim. So what does he do? He redeems it. he takes the fruit, whatever, however many it is, and he exchanges it to cash. It has to be a coin, and he takes the kedusha of the fruit, and he transfers that kedusha, the purple is kedusha, he transfers it into the coins. The fruit become regular apples now. Now he's left with kaddish coins, the purple coins. He takes those coins and he brings it to Yerushalayim, and over there he purchases food. He cannot purchase fish. Or water. Thank you. Wow, the oil was holding. Herring, fish. So, what kind of money does he use? You cannot use money, old liras. It's not going to work. It has to be current money that's in circulation. Okay, it's that. Let me see if we have it over here. I saw it here. Oh, this is This is from the Bar Kochva era. So Bar Kochva, Koizav is Kochva. That Bar Kochva was a person who was very, very successful with the wars that he did. Small amount of soldiers destroyed all these Romans to the point where Rabbi Akiva was so impressed with him. Rabbi Akiva thought he's Mashiach, and he made a mistake. Turns out that was Rabbi Amud Beis who used to daven that the war should be successful, and that's why he was successful. And then the Gemara tells us this whole story. I forgot where it was exactly, like in Sanhedrin or something, where Bar Kochva wanted to know what a certain Kuti told Rabbi Amud Beis. So he went to the Kuti. The Kuti said, "Listen, if I tell you, you're going to kill me. If I don't tell you, you're going to kill me. If I do tell you, then the Caesar is going to kill me. Kid, sir, I'm not telling you." So he goes to Rabbi Amud Beis. He says, "What did the guy tell you?" So he says, "Listen, I was so involved in my tefillah, I didn't hear him even. He didn't like it. He kicked him and killed him." And the Gemara says, from that moment on, he was not successful at war anymore. And then it was realized that it wasn't him, that the powers came from Rabbi Amud Beis. But anyway, so if you have this Kaizvi Yerushalmi, you have this different coin, basically money that's not in circulation anymore. Ein mechalim. Malachim Rishonim means you can't use this money anywhere in the world. So you can't use it anywhere in the world. It's worthless. So the Gemara is do me the Rishonim mechalim. But what about money that's current? Just you can't use it everywhere. So what do you see? You could use it. But you, Rava, we explained in Rava, they have to go all the way to Jordan. You have to go all the way to Meshan. If you're on the way there, okay, great. Doesn't say that over here. Over here you said, this money is good enough. If there's a place in the world that uses it, use it to be machal your meiser sheni, to use it to redeem your meiser sheni. I thought you have to go there. You don't have to go there. You only have to go there if nowhere in the world could you use it, only over there, so you have to go there. But if you have two kingdoms, you can use dollar bills in a lot of different countries. So it's good. So there's a good circulation. So you don't have to go anywhere. Then I can use it in Yerushalayim also. Yeah? Dollars go well in Eretz Yisrael these days. You can pay people dollars sometimes. You can buy an apartment with dollars. So if I have dollar bills in Yerushalayim, dollar bills is not so posh. It has to be coins. But you know what I'm talking about. You got American coins, good. It works. I could use it for the Michal Meiser Sheni. Elo, so it comes out. Kiomer Shmuel, when Shmuel said, hey, you have to go all the way to Meshan. Yeah, there's they say the Bibi, he went to Gaza the first time. He said, what's your name? He said, Bibi Netanyahu. He said, occupation. He said, oh, you better believe it. Takes a few seconds to chap. Those who didn't chap, they'll explain to you later. Okay. Anyway, so these are people that hate each other. They're the countries that can't stand each other. So you're not getting the money in there. You're not going to be using. There's no circulation for your money there. Says Gemara, if so, how are you going to bring the money into there? they don't want to see your shekel over there. Imagine bringing shekel into Iran. Or it's dangerous stuff. You're not going to be smuggling money into there. Says Gemara, you could bring it in there, but it's a little difficult. For instance, what happened to me the other day? Anybody that comes into the country these days, you come to America. So what do they ask you? Yeah, they bring $10,000. Now, if they catch you with $10,000, you're in big tsars. But do they pat you down? No. Once every 10,000 people they catch or whatever it is. I don't know what the numbers are, right? It's not a thing. They ask you. They're makbir. That's what the Gemara says. Gemara's like this. They don't check. They're not looking into every suitcase. This is not leaving the country that they need to make sure that you don't have liquids, whatever. If they find, I know a guy who brought in $9,999.99, and they actually searched. They were so upset at him. They were searching, and then they found another dollar, and they thought maybe if they find like 25 cents, they'll pull him over the top and they'll put him in jail. They couldn't find. He did a bedafka, like a shtik machir. So he's a diamond dealer. So whatever, he's always carrying cash. Toshma, you can't use Eretz Yisrael money, Shalkan, Eretz Yisrael money, v'hem bebavel. It's almost like what happened to me. I'm here in America, right? I'm in Bavel. I'm in Chutz La'aretz. It's not a good mashal, but here, I have shekel in my pocket. Yesterday, that's all I had. My wife gave me a little money. She's nice to me. So, shekel, here we go. You got shekel, but this doesn't work. Why doesn't this work? There's a trick. Why is this not something you can do pidyon with? It's coin. It has to be coin. It has to be coin. Okay, but for the mashal, it's good. I'm here in Chutz La'aretz. I have Israeli money, not Israeli, Eretz Yisrael money. V'hem bebavel, and this money happens to be in Chutz La'aretz. I can't do chilul now. Why? Because it's not in Eretz Yisrael. V'shel bavel v'en kan. What if I have Iraqi money in Eretz Yisrael? No. Shel bavel v'en bebavel mechalim. But if you are in Bavel and it's Bavel money, you're in Iraq and using Iraqi money, then you could do chilul. You could transfer the kedusha of your fruit of your ma'aser sheni onto the money. Tani miyas, but bottom line it says, it says you cannot use money of Eretz Yisrael, what I just showed you, Eretz Yisrael money when you're in Chutz La'aretz, Bavel. But the question is, but at the end of the day, you plan on going to Eretz Yisrael. Where are you going to eat this fruit and everything? You're going to do it in Eretz Yisrael. You're on your way. You're moving to Eretz Yisrael. So when the two countries are in a fight, so now you cannot bring up your money. So it's worthless. You can't bring it there. They are gonna pat you down and find that money. Says Gemara, Yahachi, if that's the case, you can't bring the cash up to Eretz Yisrael. But you told me that you could transfer the kedusha when you're in Bavel if you have Bavel money. But what are you going to do with that money? You can't bring it up to Eretz Yisrael. What is it worth? Says Gemara, Chazu, it has some value. The Zavan Behema, I could buy a car. I'm not going to bring the cash up. I'm going to Behema. Behema is better because now I'm going to take the Behema to Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to shecht it in Yerushalayim. I'll eat it over there. Says Gemara, all denominations work in Eretz Yisrael. You can bring dollars, you can bring sterling, you can bring pound, whatever you want. You can bring to Eretz Yisrael and use it over there. There's so many people that come from Chutz La'aretz, right? All the tourists, and they're all coming up there to Eretz Yisrael. So they said, you know what? All denominations work. So the question is, why is it money, Iraqi money, bubble, that's in Eretz Yisrael is not good? We just said you can use all types of money in Eretz Yisrael. So which one is it? Could you use all money in Eretz Yisrael? You can't use. We said that if it's not Eretz Yisrael money, Bava money in Eretz Yisrael, no good. You can't do chilul. It just said they made it takana. They can use any type, even Russian money works in Eretz Yisrael. What's Russian money called? I don't know. Ruble? What?
Rubles.
It's still rubles? Says the Gemara. Oh, it's an afgemina. You're right. It depends on the time in history. When Klal Yisroel is in charge of Eretz Yisrael, then they made a takana. They said, we'll use rubles, we'll use pounds, we'll use anything. Then, great, because they're in charge. When the Goyim are in charge of Eretz Yisrael, then other monies, other denominations like Bava money doesn't work for Meiser Sheni. Tana Rabbana, a little bit of a gad there. What's this coin in Yerushalayim? David Yerushalayim mitzad echad, Yerushalayim ira kodesh mitzad acher. Says Rashi, it's not a depiction of David HaMelech because you're not allowed to depict people. So it means it says the word David. It's inscribed in the coin. I was just thinking, I didn't look this up. I might be completely off here. That maybe it does depict the city of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim ira kodesh is depicted. It's just the face of a human being. You're not allowed to draw a face of a human being. It's like a Avodah sort of. So, but maybe Yerushalayim you're allowed. I don't know. Unless Rashi says specifically not. No, it says Rashi Kasuv Mitzad Echad. Oh yeah, you're right. No. It says Mufurish. Mitzad Sheni Kasuv Yerushalayim ira kodesh. Rashi does say it's both. Okay, forget that. Ve'ez Malbei Shel Avram Avinu. Which one? How did Avram Avinu's coin that was the denomination? Everybody used it. The whole world. Zokin Uskenu Mitzad Echad. Avram Avinu and Sari Menu are on one side, also written. Ubachur Ubsula Mitzad Acher. Yad Yitzchak and Rivka on the other side. Ben Ish Chai brings a raya that we're talking about written, and it wasn't a depiction of Avram Avinu because Avram Avinu and Yitzchak looked identical. So how would you differentiate between the two? And you say that one had black hair, one had white hair. You don't see that in a coin. So therefore, he brings a raya. The Pnei Menachem says, I don't know if he means this is serious. He says it was a siman to tell people that everybody loves money, whether you're old or young. It doesn't matter what age you are. You always love money. Says the Gemara. Boy minei Rava mirav Chizda. Rava asked Rav Chizda. Amal v'schaveri al matbei v'yisiv love mal. His mazel. He borrows money. He borrows 5 silver coins from somebody, and then they say, you know what? Done. We're taking all these coins out of circulation. And they made larger coins, nicer coins, more silver to them. Unfortunately for him, he has to pay back 5 larger silver coins. Even if it looks like, I have to go through all this. I don't have that ability anymore. This is Narivayim. In the Beis Medrash in Eretz Yisrael, I have a different button. I see all my. Oh, here's Napa. Let's see. So it's huge. So what? If now you have to give them the silver coin is that large? You have to give 5 of these. Even larger. You could buy many more fruit with these large coins. In other words, the Gemara is asking, it's rivers. What happened to rivers? You borrowed 5 small silver coins. Now you have to give five huge coins. You know how many fruit you could buy? If I could buy 5 apples before, now I could buy 500 apples. It's not fair. You're right. If it's because, why can you buy 500 fruit now? Because you got more silver, then you're right. Then instead of paying back 5 large coins, give him back 1 coin. Figure it out. Top of Tzadik Ches, Amud Aleph, V'machmas Tara Zil, and if it's because the market of fruit went down, then of course you don't have to give back. As the Gemara, but even so, even if you don't have to give back because the market of fruit went down, but at the end of the day, you give him more silver. You know what he could do with more silver? He could burn it, he could melt it down and make more jewelry. Before he could only make 5 rings out of it. Now he can make 20 rings out of it. It's not fair. Why is that not called rivers? We have to understand this pshat a little bit that's coming up. Bezuze Dagarm Dimis Tayo. There was a name of an Arab Agardimis. Adasor Bitmanya. 8 was 10. In other words, if it's a 25% difference, we're not going to make a big deal out of it. That's not ribis. As long as it's within 25%, 8 to 10 ratio, then we're good. For whatever reason that is, not 100% sure. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day. Shkoyach for coming tomorrow night, Be'ezer Hashem, at 9 o'clock.